The Strategies tab in Intuit Tax Advisor is where you can add strategies to the tax plan. On the left-hand side here, you'll see a button that says Insights and one that says All Strategies. And Insights will automatically generate tax strategy recommendations with the highest potential tax savings, and that's going to be based off of the pre-strategy baseline numbers, that 1040 tax data that was imported into Intuit Tax Advisor, and the total number of applicable insights will appear at the top right here. And if you want to add a strategy, you can simply select Add, and it will populate here. And each one of these insights will give some context on what that strategy is, why it could potentially save some taxes. At the bottom of each one of these, you will see who that insight applies to, whether it's the taxpayer or the spouse, as well as the schedule or form that is associated with. So we have the 401k added. If we scroll through these, we can see all the different strategies or insights that are populating. And if we want to add another, we can do that. So we've added two here, and each one of these strategies has a deep link to a strategy card. So if I click on that link, it'll populate this strategy card, which gives a little bit more context on the strategy. Right now we're on the Overview tab, which shows some details about the strategy, some requirements, as well as any strategy limits and who the taxpayer applies to. There's also a Research and Considerations tab, which is going to provide some additional research and links to articles and publications for that strategy, as well as any related strategies and important considerations. The Formulas tab is going to give you clarity on how those strategies, how those savings are being calculated for those strategies, as well as how that strategy will impact the tax return and the net out-of-pocket formula. So what is that total net spend to implement that strategy? And the last tab here is the Client Materials tab, and this is just showing what's going to appear on that client report, that final tax plan, with some third-party links as well as any client action items to be included. So if I go out of here and I add this strategy with the S Corporation choice of entity, this one's going to populate that we need to plug in a reasonable wage if we are converting to the S Corp and potentially save some taxes here. So if I press add, while this recalculates, it is going to populate the S Corporation choice of entity strategy for Intuit Tax Advisor. And we'll go ahead and add one additional strategy here with the S Corp compensation analysis. So here we've added 4 strategies, all from the insights, and it's going to list what that strategy is, what activity or schedule or form it's associated with, what those baseline numbers are, as well as the strategy change amount for 401k and FSA. Where we know what those maximum limits are, we're going to automatically calculate the maximum. You can then go and adjust those if you choose to do so. We're also going to populate what the rates are, the applicable rates for each one of these strategies. We're going to show the total savings for each one of these strategies. We can click on that formula to show how that's broken out, to show where that calculation came from, as well as that net out-of-pocket formula and that total spend to implement the strategy. Certain strategies like the 401k and the FSA are going to be single line strategies where you can see everything within this line. And then we have some of the more complex ones like the S Corporation choice of entity. And if we click on the 7 more lines, it's going to break out the details of that. So, before we've zeroed out that Schedule C and what that looks like, we'll show the tax savings as well as the tax owed to break down, how we're getting to those numbers, and then the details of actually changing to that S corporation and what those reasonable wages are. So if you want to get a little bit more clarity on the details within that strategy, you can expand those lines. And if I hide it, it'll come back to this. And we also have another one here, which is the S Corp compensation analysis. And this one only has 3 lines, but it'll give you some of those details here where you can see how that is broken down. So that's how you apply the strategies. So I've covered insights. The All Strategies tab is going to show all of the strategies that are in the library, as well as any custom strategies that you want. You can search for individual strategies by name. You can also customize the list view and hide certain categories if you choose to do so as well. You can also expand and collapse these if you only want to see certain things. Custom strategies give you the ability to create individual strategies that can then apply to all of your tax plans moving forward as an option. So if I wanted to create a custom strategy, you can see I have a few listed here. You simply select Create Custom Strategy, fill in the strategy name, the description of that strategy, anything that you want to include in the client report. You can see indicated here in blue, any action items that you want to include, and then you would break down how that is going to impact the tax return, how that strategy change will affect the impacted field. We'll give you the clarity into how savings are calculated with the formula. You simply have to select what rates are associated with that strategy that you're implementing, select those, and then we will calculate the savings for you. And you can also include net out of pocket if it's relevant for this situation. All right, so the last thing that I want to highlight is the ability to toggle strategies on and off. So if you want to look at some different scenarios here for the client, I can turn this off and you can see how this will automatically update the strategy savings and net out of pocket on the total amount as well on the individual line item. And when I toggle this back on, those savings and net out of pocket will be updated as well. So the strategy tab in Intuit Tax Advisor allows you to see the recommended strategies from the insights, as well as access additional strategies in our All Strategies library or create custom strategies that once you create those, they will always be available to choose from for future tax plans. Once you have added the strategies that you want, we are automatically going to apply the applicable rates based on the taxpayer situation, and you will have full visibility into how those strategies are calculated and be able to quantify total potential tax savings as well as savings for each specific strategy.